Hello.
Bless my circuits, I'm so pleased to see you.
How pleasant of you to join us.
So let's keep Star Wars going with Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
I've got a bad feeling about this. Don't worry, we have R2 with us.
So a bunch of planets want to leave the Republic under the advisement of Count Dooku. The Senate is about to vote on whether they should make an army of the Republic to help the Jedi police the galaxy. But Senator Amidala is the biggest person against this.
But she's a queen.
Yeah, I guess she got demoted, but also promoted. It's a big fish, little pond situation.
There's always a bigger fish.
So she arrives at Coruscant and blows up. But don't worry, it was just another decoy. The decoy apologizes for dying.
So sorry, I failed you, Senator.
What? Isn't that kind of her job?
Yeah, she should have been like, no, you did a great job. This is literally why we hired you. And then they just go inside, leaving her dead body just laying there.
It doesn't feel right.
Chancellor Palpatine meets with the Jedi Council and tells them to keep being cops, and he'll handle the negotiations because we saw how well that worked out before.
The negotiations never took place.
Senator Amidala comes in, and we see that Jar Jar unfortunately didn't get blown up with the decoy.
I won't fail again.
The Chancellor suggests that she needs a Jedi bodyguard, and they put Obi-Wan on the job. On the way up, we can see that Anakin is nervous about seeing her, because I'm sure that little kid had romantic feelings about her back then.
Are you an angel?
What?
They're the most beautiful creatures in the universe.
You've made a commitment to the Jedi Order, a commitment not easily broken.
He creeps her out,
You're exactly the way I remember you in my dreams.
and she shoots him down.
I'll always be that little boy I knew on Tatooine.
How embarrassing.
Anakin undermines Obi-Wan in front of everyone, and he calls him out on his bullcrap.
You will learn your place, young one.
An assassin meets with another guy, and he says there can't be any mistakes. So he gives her some poisonous centipedes that might not work.
Much to learn. You still have.
Padme wants Anakin to use her as bait, so she goes to sleep in the room she was going to sleep in anyway, and Obi-Wan thinks it's too risky to sleep.
But I thought they used her as bait last time when they wanted to find Darth Maul.
Shut up, that was to find a Sith. This is just some random dude.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.
The assassin then gives the centipedes to a droid that could easily pick the wrong room, but doesn't, and then releases them. Anakin is having nightmares about his mom, but hasn't done anything to try to free her.
I will come back and free you, Mom. I promise.
And because he's talking about his dreams, he almost misses Padme getting assassinated. The Jedi bust in and kill them, but the droid didn't leave, so Obi-Wan jumps on it and rides it back to the assassin who shoots him down.
Oh, not good.
Anakin stole a speeder and catches him, and they chase the assassin. They stupidly follow every move she makes and end up getting electrocuted. They then decide to take a shortcut, and Anakin jumps out of his speeder.
Yippee!
He tries to cut her with his lightsaber, but stabs the wrong side of the car, but that's still enough to get her to crash. They chase her into this really quiet bar, but she's a shapeshifter that doesn't want to change her form while she's hiding for some reason.
You obviously have a great deal to learn about human behavior.
They try to see who hired her, but she's killed before she can tell. Because there's still a bounty on the Senator, the Jedi Council tell the guy who's got a crush on her to take her back to the place that she's from to hide.
I'm nice like that.
They also sent Anakin to talk to Palpatine, and we find out that they've become buddies over the years. You'd think he'd be like, hey, rich guy that controls like most of the galaxy, do you think you could loan me a few bucks so I can save my mom?
Alright, I get the picture.
And before they leave, the Senator makes Jar Jar her representative. God knows why.
But if they really didn't want people to know she left, why didn't they just have her decoy vote for her?
What if they realize you've left the capital?
I don't know. Maybe she's still upset about Dorme dying.
I can only afford to lose one friend today.
She says that Anakin's grown up, and then he throws a baby Fett in front of her.
It's all Obi-Wan's fault. He's jealous. He's holding me back.
And this reminds her why she's not interested in a whiny jerk that's so much younger than her. So they want to be all incognito while leaving the capital, so she wears an ancient Mayan headdress, and he wears a poncho made out of a moving blanket that's been in an abandoned car for about 6 years.
Magnificent, aren't they?
They totally look like a couple going on a trip. And their friends call them idiots as they walk away.
I do hope he doesn't try anything foolish.
I'd be more concerned about her doing something.
Obi-Wan goes to a 50s diner whose line cook is an expert on assassination weapons.
What you got here is a Camino saber dart.
He tells him where to find the place it came from, but it doesn't seem to exist. So he goes to Yoda, who's teaching some younglings, And neither one of them sees a problem with these 6-year-olds playing with lightsabers, standing so close together while blindfolded.
Have you no sense at all?
He tells them that he thinks something is there, but there's nothing there, so there has to be something there. So he goes there. I'm not sure why he needed Yoda for that, other than him looking into it after he leaves.
Because someone erased it from the archive memory.
Since she's not supposed to go to the capital, she goes to the capital to see the Queen and finds out that the Trade Federation is still giving Naboo problems.
This isn't how it's supposed to be.
Obi-Wan not only finds the planet he was looking for, but lands exactly where he needs to go to meet the Prime Minister. He's told about the clone army they're making for the Republic, and the Prime Minister doesn't seem to pick up on him being clueless about anything they're talking about.
The army?
So you know how Anakin's been hitting on the Senator and making her uncomfortable?
It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Well, she decides to go alone with him to this romantic location and dress with a lot of skin showing. You know, like you would with any creepy guy you can't get rid of.
What is she thinking?
Obi-Wan checks out the facility to see this army of clones of this bounty hunter, Jango Fett.
Blind we are with creation of this clone army we could not see.
He wants to meet him, so he goes to his apartment, where he all but asks him, "Dude, did you try to kill the Senator?"
That's why I'm here.
Back at Naboo, things get weird. Like surfing on big-assed animals, eating pears with a fork and knife, and then she sits him down by the fire dressed like a pricey dominatrix.
I will do anything that you ask.
Can you hammer a 6-inch spike through a board with your penis?
That is something I know I cannot do.
A girl's gotta have her standards.
She tells him how they can't be together, and then they kiss.
If Master Obi-Wan caught me doing this, he'd be very grumpy.
Obi-Wan is leaving, but Yoda and Mace Windu tell him to bring Jango in for questioning. He finds him and his son Boba leaving, and tries to stop them. They get the best of him, but he gets a tracker on the ship. He follows them into this asteroid field where I guess rocks aren't enough, so Jango shoots off some bombs that could end up hitting their ship too. They fire a missile at him, but R4 opens the trunk, and a bunch of crap blows it up, making him think that his ship blew up. He then follows him to this planet, Geonosis. Anakin is still having nightmares.
Was it a dream where you see yourself standing in sort of sun god robes on a pyramid with 1,000 naked women screaming and throwing little pickles at you? I saw my mother. She is in pain. Why am I the only person that has that dream?
I've had the most peculiar dream.
So he needs to leave to save her from pain, I guess? And goes to Watto's place looking for her there instead of her house. Turns out, he sold her to some guy in Mos Eisley. He goes there, where he's greeted by C-3PO,
The Maker!
who introduces him to his new family.
Owen Laws, this is my girlfriend, Baru.
But about a month ago, she was taken by Tusken Raiders, so he goes to look for her.
You seem a little on edge.
Obi-Wan sneaks around this cave, where he sees a droid army being created, and overhears Count Dooku talking to the Viceroy about how the assassination went.
Is she dead yet?
Very lucky eavesdropping. Anakin finds the camp, and just happens to pick the tent his mom is in.
Feel, don't think. Use your instincts.
He unties her,
I will come back and free you, Mom. Always keep your promises if you want to keep your friends.
and then she immediately dies from, I guess, the paper cut on her face. And he does not take this well.
Compassion, which I would define as unconditional love, is central to a Jedi's life.
He tells Padme that he killed them all.
The women. And the children, too.
And she's like, it happens, Anakin. R2 comes up and interrupts Shmi's funeral to give them a message that Obi-Wan needs help. So he three-way calls the council so they can tell him he got it. So just after he vowed to save everyone he can,
I promise you, I will even learn to stop people from dying.
He decides to stay there and protect the senator instead of saving his father figure. Luckily, he's ordered to stay with her, and she wants to go save Obi-Wan.
If you plan to protect me, you'll just have to come along.
Since they have a droid army, they need a senator to propose the use of the clone army. So they casually suggest that Senator Amidala would do it if she was there.
I haven't worked for a year to defeat the Military Creation Act, to not be here when its fate is decided.
And that's enough to get Jar Jar to push for the Chancellor to be granted emergency power.
Good job.
So now that he's been captured, Count Dooku tells Obi-Wan that a Sith Lord is secretly controlling the Senate, but he doesn't believe him.
I don't believe you.
Turns out that Yoda and Mace Windu haven't left yet. In fact, they went to the Senate meeting before even figuring out who's going where.
I will take what Jedi we have left and go to Geonosis and help Obi-Wan.
Visit, I will. The cloners on Camino.
It doesn't seem like they're all that worried about Obi-Wan. Anakin and Padme show up and look for Obi-Wan, but don't notice all the bug people snuggling up in the walls. They attack them and almost die like 11 times. Jango Fett takes them prisoner,
and we'll have a couple of surprises for them.
Since they're about to be executed, Padme decides it's okay to tell Anakin that he doesn't really creep her out and that she loves him.
I love you.
And they decide to have them publicly killed in a coliseum instead of just shooting them. So they release 3 monsters for the 3 of them, and these things don't go after each other, just the person in the pillar in front of them. I'm not sure how, but between the 3 of them, the Senator's the one who gets out first.
She seems to be on top of things.
Padme gets her back scratched, that makes the bottom of her shirt fall off.
I don't mind.
They take out the 8-eyed tiger rat and tame the dinosaur, so they release some destroyers to kill him. But then the Jedi show up. So the Jedi are winning against the Roger droids, so Jango decides to join in.
Fly, Toberman, use your jetpack!
And gets killed by Master Windu. He should have just waited another minute because they immediately release some other droids and the Jedi start dropping like flies. The droids surround the remaining Jedi.
You're impossibly outnumbered.
I don't think so.
And Dooku's like, kill them all!
You know, milady, Count Dooku was once a Jedi. He couldn't assassinate anyone. It's not in his character.
But then Yoda shows up with the clone army that the Senate didn't actually need to approve because the Jedi commissioned them. So essentially, they ended up using an army and killing off a bunch of Jedi just so they could save Obi-Wan.
It's all Obi-Wan's fault!
The clones and the droids fight, while Dooku and the Separatists try to escape with the plans for this super weapon.
They would have been much safer there than by most.
And everyone just leaves Boba Fett with his dad's dead body.
We will watch your career with great interest.
Obi-Wan and Anakin spot Dooku, so they start chasing him, but Padme falls out, and Anakin's like, yeah, I know if we kill him, the war might be over and millions of lives saved, but the girl I like just gently rolled down a hill, and I think that should be the priority. Obi-Wan guilt trips him, but he doesn't seem to care, but then decides to go when he sees all the sand again.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
So they follow him into this cave. Anakin rushes him and gets electrocuted, but then fights Obi-Wan with a lightsaber. He cuts Obi-Wan a couple times, but Anakin saves him.
Brave of you, boy.
They then wave their lightsabers in front of their faces a few times, and then he cuts Anakin's hand off. Yoda comes in, and they throw some crap at each other. And then they try to shock each other, but that doesn't work, so then they have a sword fight. But Dooku knows he's beat, and tries to drop some stuff on Anakin and Obi-Wan. If Obi-Wan wasn't being such a little bitch, he would have kept the beam from hitting them, and Yoda could have killed Dooku. But he's like, but I got boo-boos, I can't.
So they can't help Yoda at all.
Well, Obi-Wan's fully conscious, but he does not help Yoda at all. I mean, he doesn't even throw something at Dooku. In fact, he hasn't moved a muscle since being cut. He doesn't even check on Anakin, who just had his arm cut off.
Young Skywalker is in pain. Terrible pain.
Yoda saves them, and then hobbles over to him to make sure that they're okay.
Still, you are pretty spry for an older fellow.
So Dooku heads to Coruscant to meet with his master, and they're really happy the war has started.
Everything is going as planned.
Mace Windu, Yoda, and Obi-Wan are like, man, I'm really glad we had those clones, but it kind of sucks that we started a war to save ourselves. Maybe we aren't so good at this peacekeeping thing.
We're keepers of the peace, not soldiers.
Oh, and Anakin and Padme went back to Naboo and got married, but only R2 and C-3PO were invited.
They're gonna be in a lot of trouble.
Not again. Obi-Wan's gonna kill me.
It was her idea.
You know, the title of the story is a little deceiving because the clones saved them, not attacked them. So who are we supposed to be rooting for here?
It is finished.
Subscribe.
And your lives will be spared.
You want to go home and share this video?
I want to go home and share this video.
This party's over.
May the Force be with you.